Southern China has been hit by heavy rain and floods, leading Tzu Chi to deliver aid. Taiwan government officials prepare a stimulus package to revive local economy.
I'm Sean Scanlon, and welcome to DAI Headlines. Let's get started. Southern China experienced heavy bouts of rain in mid-June. In Sichuan, a mudslide occurred with Chengdu Tzu Chi volunteers immediately surveying the damage and distributing aid. Let's take a look.
泥石流之前，我们在这里之前养一些牲口，现在经济来源现在被泥石流冲了以后，就是经济来源就是根本是没有了。
This is the aftermath of a mudslide in Anhua town of Xichang City in Sichuan. After a survey of the damages, Chengdu Tzu Chi volunteers followed up with an aid distribution.
A mudslide occurred in Anhe Township's Shangshui-guo. The residents are now living in temporary shelters, while supplies and resources are limited here in the mountain areas. We have prepared some humanitarian aid such as blankets, jingsi bed, and some essentials, in hopes to solve their problems temporarily and immediately.
The essentials the volunteers mentioned include toothpaste and toothbrush, soap, laundry detergent, and towels. Every disaster victim will receive a set with a total of 138 families on the list.
My husband works away from home, and it's difficult for me to leave to buy these things since it's far. It's been hard taking care of 2 kids, and the weather is hot. I'm in real need of these 8 items. Thank you so much. I love these supplies.
As the distribution comes to an end, the disaster victims turn their frowns upside down and take into a dance to celebrate, all in the hopes of returning to their normal lives as soon as possible.
80-year-old Mr. Huang has been collecting newspapers and books since youth. 2 floors of his house host his 30-year collection. Nearly 100 volunteers made 3 trips to clean his house and put his collection in order. Here's more.
人生追求知识，当知识得到之后，你可以做另外一份施舍，也是一个不错的选择。
The whole room of newspapers and magazines were Mr. Huang's treasures that he had collected for over 30 years. However, it has become a burden now.
马路消息或者是走路消息。
He used his house to store the newspapers, and he rented another apartment to live. Now that he's already in his 80s, he needs to take care of them eventually.
Though he has made up his mind to let go, his physical health does not allow him to organize and clean. Nearly 40 volunteers came to relay the paper recycling down to the first floor.
It's located on the 4th and 5th floors of his house, so when he tried to move it for the first time, we were only able to move about 1/6 of the 5th floor. Both floors are all full of the items, so basically, we came a second time to organize, and this time, the 3rd time, to move it all out.
Volunteers are very dedicated and worked very hard, which has made me reflect on myself. I'm not so capable anymore, and I have limited ability.
To let go of his collections, there are 1,000 different feelings in his mind.
I'm reluctant to let it go and that you are taking them, but I can't handle them myself. So the sister told me that I best not watch the process, because I might end up not letting them take it.
Let go, let go. Only when you let go, you can have your space back.
The 3-time organizing and moving had launched about 100 volunteers to finally complete the mission. Mr. Huang has let go of his stubbornness and found the space he needs for a new life.
A Tzu Chi care recipient in Malaysia battled stage 3 lung cancer. Her biggest concern was her 3 young children. With help from Tzu Chi volunteers, her children were able to be more self-reliant. Now her condition has miraculously improved. Let's take a look.
My name is Siti Lasira. I'm a lung cancer patient.
She felt as if she was going to leave the world. but she can't let go of her 3 children. Her eldest child is in the 5th grade. When volunteers visit her house to care for her, volunteers learned that her main concern was her children. So we started to care for her children and teach them how to take care of their housework because mom is sick. She didn't have the energy to do housework, so we taught them how to be more self-reliant, like cooking some simple dishes.
Dan bila diorang datang bersama-sama dengan
They always encourage me and give me all kinds of help. They also provide us with beds and air purifiers. Their sincere assistance gave me hope so that I can recover quickly.
diorang dengan ikhlas bagi cuma harapan untuk cepat sembuh.
On this day, the family of Siti Nazara accepted an invitation by Tzu Chi volunteers to clean the house for a care recipient who also suffered from cancer. To celebrate this child's 3rd birthday, Siti's eldest son Nabil took on the role of chef for the day, preparing lunch for everyone.
I'm very happy because everyone ate the food I cooked. Seeing others happy, we will feel happy ourselves.
The illness which afflicted Siti allowed Tzu Chi volunteers the chance to enter her life. Now that she is accompanied by these volunteers in blue and white, the ripples of goodness have spread throughout her family.
Do you like raw vegetables? Some say eating raw vegetables preserves vitamins such as B and C. However, some vegetables actually need to be cooked in oil for their nutrients to be digested. Therefore, it's wrong to say that eating raw vegetables is the only way to get the best nutrition. Here's more.
Raw vegetables frequently give one the impression of being fresh and healthy, but not everyone can accept this.
是生的我看不好，
为什么？
还是煮过的东西比较好吧？
生菜吧，比较变得比较冷啦。是。还有比较有细菌啦。
Some people say that in the process of cooking vegetables, nutrients will be lost. So vegetables eaten raw have the most nutrients. This is only half correct.
Cooking will cause some nutrients to be lost like vitamin C or vitamin B group. After cooking, it can increase the absorption of some special nutrients like fat-soluble nutrients.
Although eating raw vegetables can allow one to have more water-soluble nutrients, it may not be suitable for some people.
Vegetables that are eaten raw may have a greater risk of E. coli and other bacteria, so we don't recommend it to people who have low immunity or cancer patients, etc. They should avoid raw vegetables as much as possible.
While raw vegetables can definitely be eaten uncooked, this does not mean that all of them are more nutritious when eaten raw. Some dishes are suitable for cooking or frying. The nutrient absorption is actually higher. In fact, a balanced intake of multiple nutrients, including vegetables and fruit, is the most desired course of action.
Taoyuan Tzu Chi volunteers held a chef-to-home event, inviting community residents to share specialty dishes, thereby promoting meatless food and natural ingredients to enhance neighborhood relationships.
Tzu Chi volunteers in Taoyuan held a vegetarian feast and invited the chef to cook at home, emphasizing that they can make a delicious dessert without spending a lot of money on professional appliances.
Press it like this. You don't have to buy professional compression molding in a bakery.
After crushing the almond slices and mixing coconut milk, ice them and mix with the mango. The finished ice mousse can be served easily.
These ingredients are the simplest and the easiest to obtain, and they're easy to learn. I want to use this chance to share it with everyone.
The neighbors share good food with each other. Delicious and burden-free dishes are not only healthy, but also economical.
Vegetarian food is very healthy, and its materials and price are actually very cheap.
I like to eat vegetarian diet. I want to take this opportunity to learn more about the vegetarian ingredients and cooking methods.
Because I usually cook very simple dishes at home, unexpectedly, Tzu Chi's sister can make so many changes to vegetarian food.
From the individual to communities, through cooking to connecting neighbors' relationships, it also urges more people to embrace vegetarian food.
The impact of the coronavirus epidemic on the economy far exceeds the 2008 financial tsunami. Many countries have offered stimulus packages, with Taiwan following suit. The economic bailout shows that many economies need structural transformation. Here's more.
Middle and low-income households, bus drivers, taxi drivers, and fellow citizens are in need of relief. We are working fast and cash is now going into their accounts.
Financial bailout is a worldwide trend in 2020. In order to get it, one needs to fill out this application form. Taipei City saw a crowd of people in line, receiving some 800 people a day. As for the general public, how do they use the relief money?
There's no money in this industry if we don't do any work. And we can't work, so we need this revenue, and this is why I came here to apply for it.
My relief money is used to supplement the family and some aspects of daily life. It's just around $300. I think this fund could last us for about 2 months, and we will try to save a little.
These emergency funds are like much-needed rain for crops. The battle humans fight against viruses is not only that of health workers, but also a long-term economic battle. Looking back at the 2008 financial tsunami, there was also a wave of unemployment around the world. The unemployment rate in Taiwan was 4.14% at the time, rising to 5.85% the following year, though domestic consumption was greatly reduced. Many did not expect the current situation to be even more tragic.
The biggest difference between the epidemic and the financial tsunami is that this epidemic directly affects consumer demand, as everyone does not dare to go out to spend money. During the financial tsunami, although it had a big impact on the entire economy, it was less of a challenge because some companies reduced income for employees or asked them to take unpaid leave. But this never scared people from going out and spending money.
In order to revitalize the economy, various countries have announced many measures beginning in May. China's government announced when the epidemic slows down, it will launch coupons and offer consumer discounts, hoping to stimulate the domestic economy.
Why do we call this a triple coupon? We call it this because when you spend $30, you can actually buy 100 worth of goods. Actually, it's based on the principle of encouraging consumption. For example, if you spend $15, how much of the discount will you get? There are incentives for me to go out and spend to increase consumption. So basically, there are two incentives. The first incentive is to bring consumers out, and the second incentive is to inspire consumers to spend more.
Proper medication and timely delivery may have a life-saving effect. At the same time, economic recovery is very important as various sectors will be affected. Also, a number of groups have made predictions on the global economic situation. For example, the IMF lowered Taiwan's economic growth rate to -4%, and IHS and DBS also revised down to below -1%. SEER and Central Bank also revised growth to 1%.
Businesses with a greater ability to take risks will have the opportunity to stay afloat. Some of these vendors who have tried to reduce costs in the past will have difficulty surviving.
What industries successfully survive this epidemic requires continuous observation. However, some scholars emphasize that this epidemic is actually a test, and history will remember what choices we have made.
Our revitalization plans can all be connected to the green circular economy. This means that the money we spend will not be wasted. We need to re-establish the economic structure and implement new employment, generating new green employment. I think this is a very good opportunity for us to change.
Perhaps we can say that this epidemic has given the environment a chance to reboot. When the epidemic eases and we recover, humans should think carefully about which way the economy should develop, how to better recover. At the same time, we should also find an opportunity for nature to breathe, as well as rest and recover.
The Wugu wetland is one of the most important wetlands in northern Taiwan, attracting a large number of migratory birds every year. The Society of Wilderness is responsible for maintaining this area. Recently, 16 volunteers helped remove bitter vine, which is an alien species in the wetlands. Let's take a look.
Pulling and even she is pulling. A group of people kept busy in the bushes today, as some may be wondering what they are doing.
Our goal today is to remove the plant which is known as bitter vine.
This whole wetland has been covered with this vine, with bag after bag of it being removed. Some can't even be pulled out, as this invasive alien species is nature's enemy number one.
The humidity in this tree may be too high. This trunk actually starts to rot easily and have disease problems. If the tree is totally rubbed up, the tree will die.
This is a SOW wetland working holiday. Some 16 volunteers are immersed in work here despite the heat. Here we see children holding drinks, and volunteers have no complaints as they bring their children to experience this activity.
They have learned about removing alien invasive species in their biology class this semester. It just happened that we came here to clear the bitter vine, so this is to put what they have learned in class into practice.
This activity is a special experience for them. All of this work is actually being done by people, but they need help. I don't feel so tired doing this work.
Wetland conservation is really not easy. The Wugu wetland is an important stop for thousands of migratory birds every year. It was polluted and ecologically devastated some 10 years ago.
It turned into a dump for local people. There are many kinds of waste here. We later cooperated with the Taipei County government and turned this park into an ecological park. These are the achievements we have made over the past 10 years.
After their hard work is done, the volunteers form a circle and share their experiences. Ecological conservation is not only about action, but also education, working together to spread the message of protecting the environment from generation to generation.
In order to care for epidemic prevention personnel, Tzu Chi volunteers in Sri Lanka and Tzu Chi school students made cards to cheer up healthcare workers and patients. Here's more.
Local materials are used to make anti-epidemic face shields. For the extra sponges, students from Tzu Chi school exert their creativity to roll them into roses for sympathy cards to encourage patients in the hospital.
Although they are rich or poor, at this moment they are lonely. Our team try to bring smile to their face.
In addition to the cards, there is fruit packed in Great Love Village and donated materials to be sent to the hospitals to cheer up the medical personnel at the front line of epidemic prevention and patients who are sick. There is also a rehabilitation center that requires help. This is a vocational training center specially set up for the disabled. As the epidemic is mitigated, it needs to be opened again. However, no person is available to assist in disinfection, so it sought help from Tzu Chi.
This is a very special organization. All the disabled have their own talents and can be self-reliant here. I'm honored to be able to help disinfect here.
Thank you, Tzu Chi, for helping with disinfection. This is very important because we can work with peace of mind.
Facing the epidemic together with mutual help and love helps many pass through this difficult time.
Tzu Chi Singapore chapter continued online training courses which have been suspended for 2 months. The program has also been expanded to offices in Sri Lanka, Jordan, Lebanon, Nepal, and India. Let's take a look.
In Buddhism, we talk about equality.
Tzu Chi Singapore chapter initiated a cross-border online study with home visits as a starting topic to break the gap between time and space. Together with 5 countries, including Sri Lanka, to learn Dharma online.
We continue our practice to use English to teach and train members in other countries. We hope after attending the lesson, they can learn Tzu Chi's charity concept and essence.
And also he is joining our recycling program during Charity Distribution Day.
The work of home visits depends on local conditions, and it is important to act in line with the team consensus on how to practice Tzu Chi's concept among different cultures and ethnic groups.
Actually, from many years, we are doing charity trainings with Singapore team. Through the trainings with Singapore team, we have really appreciated, and we hope to continue with this Singapore team, Sri Lanka trainings. So we can improve a lot. We can go ahead with the Tzu Chi culture on correct path.
Tzu Chi has been in Jordan for 23 years. Last year it became an NGO. In Jordan, we focus on caring for the seniors and disabled. I'm grateful to be able to join this volunteer workshop today. I just invited the trainers to translate it into Arabic so we can practice more by ourselves, because we can learn through working and awaken through learning.
To listen to the training. And
with Tzu Chi's mission as a foundation, Tzu Chi volunteers from different countries diligently learn the concept of charitable home visits, which are regarded as the common language among each other.
Tzu Chi New York volunteers celebrated the Dragon Boat Festival by coming together to make zongzi. It was a good chance for volunteers to get acquainted again and pass on the Tzu Chi spirit from generation to generation. Here's more.
Tzu Chi volunteers from New York chapter took a whole day to prepare zongzi leaves and dozens of other ingredients. The next morning, nearly 10 volunteers were busy making zongzi. Today's goal is to make 600. 650 zongzi was sponsored by New York Tzu Chi volunteer Hong Dehua and were given to volunteers as gifts. He also went to the scene to help making zongzi with volunteers. In the Tzu Chi Long Island branch, volunteers were busy with making zongzi. A young chef cooks the ingredients, and the volunteers fully equipped to wrap them together with leaves. Some people have come to the United States for many years and experienced the fun of wrapping zongzi for the first time.
After I joined Tzu Chi, I became smarter. I learned how to make zongzi. I want to show the video to my mom.
Long Island, New York, and Boston are three of our centers. The concept is like coming home to eat zongzi. So we're all together to make zongzi, take zongzi, and eat zongzi.
In Boston, volunteers work in shifts to make zongzi in this academic time. Senior volunteers pass on tips on how to form the perfect rice dumpling to the next generation, which helps enforce Master Zeng Yan's teaching that strength is in togetherness.
Each of our commissioners is like the leaves of zongzi. We clean our hearts, and then when our hearts are clean, we can wrap social resources and members together. The spirit is very important.
Faced with everything after the epidemic in New York, all Tzu Chi volunteers expected each other to pass on the Tzu Chi spirit generation after generation, and also promote vegetarianism as the focus of the future.
Students from Pingdong University of Science and Technology assembled models and skeletons to better understand movements of the human eye and breathing, which are the building blocks of life. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.